Oh, you guys, this is Melissa, and I am in the ranting shop, and today we're gonna be reviewing Ready to Love Season 6 Reunion Part 1. Let's get right into things. Firstly, we get a collage of all the kind of sexual things that the cast members said, from Tori talking about rearranging organs with Precious and with Joy, from Mr. Paul asking Miss Carmen to take a bite of his pickle, and we didn't see that footage. It was Wiley and Precious, and Wiley mentioned something about his person being very large. And so all of them addressed it. Miss Carmen is saying, oh, one more, the Kia, saying that her gag reflexes are good or whatever the case is. And then Carmen tried to talk about it, and she said that what better time to flirt than when you're single. Tori was justifying his comments about rearranging kidneys, but actually it was not a good look. I'm sorry, it was not a good look. Next, they get into the blind date segment where they talk about all the bombshells, which were Cornelius, AP, and I think they're starting off with Cornelius and AP, and they asked Cornelius how it felt to be the first person to be a bombshell, so to speak. Not a bombshell, but an addition to the cast. So they all talk about the experiences being an addition. So I think some of them had had a bit of things to say about the experience being a new addition, not knowing what they're getting themselves into. Carmen said she enjoyed her first date, that Laverne was a gentleman, and Mr. Kia mentioned Eric was a nice date at the time. Okay, she made it very clear that he was a nice date at the time. So that makes us know that after the incident, things went downhill from there. But Sabrina essentially said the more the merrier when it came to the bombshells. And yeah, it would be better for them to have more options. It just makes more sense, because then you have more possibilities of actually getting someone. And Mr. Paul said that everybody to him was a blind date, because there's one thing to have a surface level perception of somebody, but then there's an internal aspect of them. And he said that he wanted to take his time regardless of what happened or how many people was there. So the first half of the show was very light, no drama yet, but we do see a lot of uncomfortable faces. Everybody's face looks uncomfortable. Sabrina's, Precious's, a lot of people. And that is a first for me. I've never seen so many uncomfortable faces in the audience at all. But let's get into the second half of things. Okay, so they spoke about Kissgate, which is essentially the truth or dare game, where Sabrina decided to nibble on Demetrius's ear when everybody else assumed that she would have picked Tori. And that's the thing about it. If I agree with Sabrina in that if you made your own assumption based on what you think I meant or what you think I said, that's on you. And when Joy did the thing when she said, go Tori, that kind of added insult to injury when he wasn't chosen because of her assumption. Yes, you can say, oh, it's based on what she said, or it's based on what we think she said. And even, yes, Sabrina was torn and she really did not know who her better connection was. But clearly, it was with Demetrius. But we're talking from an audience perspective. I guess within the process, it looked as if Tori was the bigger connection, but in actuality Demetrius was the bigger connection. And I think Sabrina is allowed to change her mind if she feels as if, okay, Demetrius is now giving me what I want, She's allowed to change her mind. That's the thing. I feel like people were crucifying the woman, sorry, for simply changing her mind, when in actuality she is allowed to do that. Yes, Tori ended up being embarrassed, but a lot of that embarrassment stemmed from the people cheering him on, when really the lady had not made up her mind yet. So whose fault is it? Whose fault is it at the end of the day? And I feel like people coming for Sabrina, it's so unfair. People are coming for Sabrina because they feel as if, how dare Sabrina have free options? How dare she not make up her mind? And how dare she, I guess, ask for things people felt like she was not doing herself. But at the end of the day, I feel like if she's taking this process really seriously and wanting to come up with a person at the end, I feel like she should be able to do what she feels she needs to do to get to the bottom of who they are and their intentions. Yes, she could have done it in a more transparent way, but who am I to really hate her for how she chose to go through the process of finding a potentially long-term partner? Because at the end of the day, look at all the other contestants. Do you feel like these people were serious? So do you prefer somebody that is not that serious and just riding a wave? Or do you prefer somebody that is very intentional about the process and about their lifelong potential partner? Let me know, because the amount of women that are hating on Sabrina is truly, truly disgusting. It's truly disgusting. And Joy is a very strong-minded individual. And what I like about her is that she stands 10 toes deep on what she thinks and feels. But that's also what I don't like about her, because you might be wrong. And sometimes it's just best for you to be quiet as opposed to want to combat. Because Sabrina is telling you, you made an assumption, and that made Tori's experience more embarrassing. That is true. Accept that and be quiet, because actually you explaining it further proves Sabrina's point that you did make an assumption. And yes, maybe she was feeling Tori at the ladies' lounge, but then again, she is allowed to change her mind, and that shouldn't be illegal for people to do. Or people shouldn't be villainized for that stupid, simple change of mind. Tori was blindsided, and that's just him assuming where he was with Sabrina was as strong as he thought. And that's on him. But he should also be open to the fact that they're all dating, and he can't expect Sabrina to go how he thinks she will go, because people are human beings and they're allowed to change their minds. Furthermore, who else spoke? As far as Demetrius was concerned, Sabrina was always his number one. Joy was his number two. So he also didn't know where Sabrina would go, whether she'd go with Tori, because according to him, the other cast members were saying it's Tori. However, it ended up being him, and he was pleasantly surprised because it kind of matched where he was coming from, because his number one has been consistent. And Laverne was like, I'm glad people are not blaming me anymore, because yes, I did bring up the truth or dare thing, but people chose to participate on their own free will, and I think that it wasn't Laverne that came up with the game on his own. I absolutely feel like production had something to do with that game. Now they're discussing Carmen and Donovan's relationship. I'm not saying that it's fake, but I don't believe in it, because I hadn't really seen the natural progression of it. Not like we see how Joy and Clifton came together from the beginning, and so we accept that. But Donovan and Carmen is like, they came from out of the blue. So because we didn't get to really see that process, it seems a little fake to me. So according to Donovan, they're in a good place and they're very flexible as far as if things, I guess, change, they're gonna change to fix, to match it, to compensate for it. Carmen said that the first time she felt something for Donovan was when he put his hand on her thigh. She felt butterflies. At this point, I think we have come to the conclusion that butterflies are not as romantic as the movies have led us to believe. Butterflies are essentially a sign of panic. The body is telling you, no, think about this might be dangerous, it's better to abort mission, turn the other way, and never look back. But however, we tend to romanticize the danger, and so that may not be as good as she makes it seem, or a lot of ladies still make butterflies seem. So remember at the retreat, Paul seemed like he was not interested in Carmen, and he essentially said that everybody ended up where they were supposed to end up. That's like the long and short of the story. Donovan stepped up, and we all know why. It's because his connection with Sabrina was not progressing like he wanted it to progress. So it seemed as if he just went to his default, the person that was the most open there, which was Carmen. He couldn't go over to Joy because Joy was into Cliff and she wasn't gonna budge. We have Dakia. Dakia was not that into Donovan. He couldn't go there. We have Carmen. Carmen was the only one that was open because Paul did not seem that interested in her at that moment. So it seemed perfect for them to find each other because the ones that they were interested in were not that interested in them. Next, we go into Dakia and Eric's whole situation, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna address the incident that took place when they were taking the prom picture. Okay, so we learned from Dakia about the breast gate when Eric accidentally or intentionally touched Dakia's breast, and Dakia saw it as, okay, you kind of violated me, I'm a lady, you don't touch women like that, and no longer want to date you. Whereas Eric said he hurt Dakia's feelings. So the reason why there's this difference in comments pertaining to the event is that Eric, when he realized that he effed up, people told him, yes, you in fact did touch this woman's breast. He wanted to clear it up, but according to him, production told him not to clear it up. They're not gonna talk about it. Just say this. Or he figured, okay, let me just say this because they told me that they're not gonna address it. Turned out they told Dakia to address what happened, and she said exactly she said more of what happened on that day. And so now Eric looks like a liar, so to speak. That's according to what he said. Did Eric just say that he didn't think it's something he should have done with people around? So is it something you should have done with no people around? I'm confused because at the end of the day, despite people being around or not around, consent is consent. And if she didn't consent to that, then it's her prerogative to verbalize her distaste for what happened. I don't understand. If you guys have not seen, Mr. Eric went on Commission Reviews and he was talking about that particular incident, and he said essentially that he didn't know at first that he touched her boob, and that when he did realize, he went to her and he apologized and he did this and he did that. But what made him mad was that she did not allow him to kind of control the narrative, and she shared her displeasure with other people. And basically what he was trying to say is, she didn't tell that to me, so why did she tell that to other people? But what men fail to realize is, at the end of the day, when a woman feels uncomfortable with something a man does, her first reaction is not to confront that man. Because when women tend to want to err on the side of self-preservation, and with that, it's like, you don't want that man to know that you're uncomfortable. You don't want that man to know that he kind of violated you, because you kind of you don't know how he's gonna respond to it. Okay, so with that, she probably brushed it aside and made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal, but whole time she was bothered by it. I don't see anything wrong with her not making it a big deal at that moment. Women do that when they want to self-preserve themselves. So if she did feel more comfortable with letting other people know, it's her prerogative to share it with whoever she felt comfortable with sharing it with. How dare you feel a way that she shared the incident with other people? I understand that your reputation is now gonna be called into question, but at the end of the day, you should have thought about that before you touched her inappropriately. Okay, granted, you didn't know you touched her inappropriately. People had to tell you. When you did find out, address it, say you're sorry, leave it at that. If she does intend to share it with other people, perhaps you can also clear it up with them and say, okay, I did speak to her, we did clarify this, whatever the case may be. But I don't think your reaction is to necessarily get annoyed or angry. More so, there should be more understanding. I feel like people that are dating, if both of you don't really know where you guys are with both of you, with your connection, with what is allowed and what not is not allowed, I feel like there's definitely a sign of a communication issue there. Because how is he thinking that the Kia would allow a breast touch, but the Kia doesn't think that he was allowed to breast touch? There's some type of miscommunication somewhere, and I see people are kind of justifying Eric by saying, oh, the Kia was sexual with Cliff. So what? You see, these are the same women that enable rapists, and they enable people that assault people. They blame the victim because why you wore that dress, why were you overly flirty with this guy, as if that is supposed to justify somebody touching you inappropriately. Women like that, I don't know what to tell these types of women, but these types of women are dangerous women. For a woman to sit there and justify a man touching a woman appropriately by saying that that woman's flirtatious nature lends to or excuses the behavior of being inappropriately touched, that's disgusting. That is disgusting. And these types of women are what is called male identified. These women don't see anything wrong with anything a man does. It's always the woman's fault. You should dress appropriately. You shouldn't flirt. You shouldn't be overtly sexual. You shouldn't do any of these things. Because if you do it, then whatever the man does to you is justified. That's disgusting. We need to change that narrative. Women are being hurt with this narrative. And that is precisely why there is a Me Too movement. And even then, women are still on the side of the men where they feel as if, oh, the woman shouldn't have done this. The woman shouldn't. Victim blaming. It's something that we need to work on, especially in the Black community, whether it be in America, whether it be in the Caribbean, whether it be in Europe. This is something that we absolutely need to work on, because it is utterly disgusting and it is destroying victims in the process. So going back to the show, the Kia accepts his apology, and I'm pretty sure he felt like it would be left at an accepted apology. However, the Kia dug further into the Eric trying to change the narrative, go ahead of the devil, and kind of discredit her in the process. He wasn't expecting her to go that deep. And now that whole facade of why apologize is now becoming unraveled, because now you could see the disrespect is about to ensue. The Kia feels like the apology that he sent after he realized that he made a mistake is a little too late, because she felt like when it was her telling him, okay, you disrespected me and I felt this way, his response was, okay, there's nothing to talk about. That was his response. And then after that response, he sent another response apologizing. So I think the Kia feels as if he did not genuinely take responsibility for his behavior. She felt like he took responsibility after something else made him aware of his actions. And so because of that, she, I believe, thinks as if the apology he sent was kind of not invalid, but it was not genuine. I think that's what it is. And she gives bigger context to what happened that day, because Eric makes it seem as if, especially on his interview with Camisha Reviews, he makes it seem as if he didn't know he touched her breast. That's what he makes it seem. He makes it seem like he didn't know in that instant that he touched her breast. He had to go to production, or production had to tell him, yes, you did. And then he came back and apologized. But according to the Kia, right there and then when he touched her inappropriately, she made it very clear to him, and whoever was next to them heard her say to him, okay, don't touch me like that. What the F are you doing? I am a lady. What are you doing? You know, Paul heard and confirmed that she did say that. So we see Eric trying to change the narrative yet again in his interviews to make it seem as if he did not know until later, when in actuality, according to what the Kia is saying and Paul is verifying, she said it in that moment and he knew in that moment. So that is why it's strange to the Kia that you saying you don't want to address the issue 1 minute, and then the next minute you're telling her that you apologize for your inappropriate behavior, because clearly it doesn't seem your apology doesn't seem genuine at that moment, because it happened in that moment and it's not like you didn't know it happened. I made it very clear to the point where even Paul knows that that is what happened. Joy hugging Eric in that moment is weird to me, because this man, I don't know, it just seemed really off to me, and it further just amplifies people's opinions of Joy, that she is very male identified, which means that she tends to be on the men's side for a lot of things. And in that case, yeah, her hugging Eric was kind of weird to me. It's very clear which side that she is on. And if you guys have not taken a listen, you could go back and watch my review of a disagreement that took place on social media between Carmen and Joy versus Sydney and Carrie. And that would give you a bigger understanding of where these women are as far as who they connect with in regards to the women on this show. I feel like because people did not like Sabrina, they assumed Sabrina would be the one that didn't get along with a lot of the cast members. But actually, Joy and Carmen didn't get along with a lot of the women on the cast. Which I know people would not be surprised at Carmen, but would be surprised at Joy. And I think it's because Joy kind of got a favorable edit, and the endings with Joy and Clifton was very favorable. Everybody loved it. And so people are more willing to ignore certain things that Joy did do and did say, because her edit was very good and her ending was very good. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's important to separate things. Yes, her editing was good. Yes, the ending was good. We're so happy for them. But let's address the issue at hand. Is Joy right for siding with the man in a moment where the woman felt disrespected and stuff like that? I don't know. It seems a little fishy to me. But it also seems fishy that, yes, I understand that the Kia was kind of contradicting herself a little bit as well, because you're saying that, okay, let's just accept the apology and leave it at that. You're accepting that kind of logic. But then you're going further on to say if he did it first, then it would have been better if he did it. And I do understand it, but it just seems as if we're coming to a conclusion, an agreed conclusion, but then going back in the middle to try and address other things. It just seems a little weird to me. But I do understand this is a reunion and you want to let everything out, and she's allowed to do that. But before saying that you accept the apology, perhaps say, I wish he apologized sooner, then it would have seemed more genuine, as opposed to, let me accept this apology just for accepting apology's sake. You know what I mean? Because now when you go back to address the little nuances, it seems as if you're beating a dead horse. It seems as if you're going around in a circle. It seems a little bit weird, to come to the conclusion and go back to your issue. It seems a little, I wouldn't say passive aggressive, but it seems a little bit weird. And that's all I'll say about that. Now we're going through Sabrina and her multiple connections. We all know that she had connections with Tori, Donovan, Demetrius, and a lot of people dislike her for what they feel is her juggling these men. So as we're seeing Sabrina and Donovan's ending date that ended up really badly with her calling him an a-hole and everything, Carmen pops in the little screen and says he did make a better decision, B. She was about to call this woman a B. Carmen, be more woman-like than that. That's disgusting. People already don't like you. So just calm the hell down, okay? So Sabrina decided to pause on Donovan because she felt like the way he spoke about the process, it wasn't genuinely to her about finding love. It was more so to the way he phrased things, I suppose, made her feel as if he just wanted to last as long as he could on the show. I think that's the perception that Sabrina might have gotten from him and how he phrased certain things. Yeah, her perception could have been wrong, but you can only go off what you think and what you feel. You can always ask as well. But then the danger in asking someone to clarify something they said that is problematic to you is they might clear it up to make it coincide with, to make it better, to make it not as terrible as it first sounded. But anyways, then she just did this pivot thing and talked about, oh well, he mentioned if he was there earlier, he would have probably ended up with Joy. And so he's trying to deny it, but then Precious and the Kia kind of verified that he also said the same thing with them, that if he was there in the process earlier, he would end up with Joy. Now Joy looks at the screen and he calls the girls Golden Girls, and she ends up screaming, talking about, yes, Donovan. I didn't understand why she did that. That was kind of weird to me because people were kind of mixing it up. It's like, what's the relevance of him saying that? I agree that it's not relevant, that maybe there was a bigger conversation that we didn't see. But no, I did not see the relevance of Sabrina bringing that up. That's number one. Also, number two, the bigger issue to me is that you're lying about something that you did say according to 3 different women. You're lying. You're a liar. So I think that's the bigger issue. It's not a big deal. Absolutely not. But you're making it a big deal because you're lying. I know that the Kia would not lie, and Precious wouldn't lie about something that you said to them. So my thing about it is, instead of owning up to it, why are you lying? Lying is gonna put you in a worse position because now you look like somebody that is not a genuine person and that will lie. It could just be innocent, you guys. It could also be that you said it but forgot you said it. But then It could also be that you know you said it and you're intentionally lying. Some people looked at it in terms of what Sabrina said is not relevant, and some people looked at it in terms of he was lying. And for me, I look at it in terms of why lie. To me, that's a bigger issue than the relevance of Sabrina bringing that up. If it's not a big deal, say you said it and say, I mean, that's only normal. It would have given me more opportunities to get to know the other women, and maybe I would have chosen Joy. Yeah, you could have just left it at that as opposed to denying it. That's my big issue there. And calling the women golden girls is a little bit disgusting to me. Like, that wasn't necessary. Joy's reaction is over the top, and that's the thing that annoys me about Joy. She laughs forcefully, like it doesn't even seem like a genuine laugh. She laughs and it seems forced, and it's like, why is that necessary for you to laugh in that manner? It's not even like a genuine laugh. It's almost like a forceful, intentional laugh that just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, I agree with Precious. If you said that stuff, stand in what you said, period. And don't try and wiggle your way out of something that you said. Because if you didn't say it, you could have just easily said, I didn't say it. But you did say it. And the other women justified that. And instead of saying, I said it, you want to wiggle around and say all type of stuff and call these women golden girls. That's disrespectful. Anyways, let's talk about why Sabrina didn't want to meet Demetrius's mom. Well, she already addressed that on several shows, and it was essentially because she and Donovan shared a kiss off the show, right? And Donovan, being petty, because Donovan is a petty man, because he saw Sabrina, I guess, engaging more with Demetrius on TV, on the show. And according to him, it didn't align with the things that I guess she said to him, I guess. So he, in that moment, to be honest with you, it was just a petty thing that Donovan did. Donovan was like, well, since you're not showing me the attention that you said you would, or since you're not, pursuing me like you said you would, I'm gonna destroy your connection with Demetrius. And I think that's what his intention was. So because he was feeling petty in that moment, he spoke to Demetrius and said to Demetrius that he shared a kiss with Sabrina. I absolutely think that it was to destroy Demetrius's connection with Sabrina. Absolutely. Nobody can tell me he did that with pure positive intention. Absolutely no one. And Demetrius, hearing that from Donovan, felt away, ignored Sabrina, and then you Demetrius, want to come on the show and ask this woman to meet your mom, knowing behind the scenes you've been ignoring her because you're annoyed and upset with her for kissing Donovan behind your back and not telling you. And that's the things you don't get to see. And we make assumptions thinking, oh, she just doesn't want to see his parents because she just wants to be difficult. When in actuality, he told his mom something that doesn't make Sabrina look good. Do you think I'd want to see a parent of somebody that I potentially want to be with if that parent has a negative perception of me? Absolutely not. It's like I'm coming into the gate with a negative score already. Why would I even want to put myself through that? So I completely understand where she was coming from. And for Demetrius, I feel like, why would you even want her to meet your parents if you were upset with her to the point where you were not even communicating with her? Because Donovan kind of, according to Sabrina, Donovan lied to her and told her, well, maybe not lied, but Donovan told her not to tell people about their kiss, because he doesn't want it to get back to his children, whatever the case is. That part didn't make sense to me, but that's what he told her. So she kept it a secret, thinking he would keep it a secret. Then he takes the opportunity to go tell Demetrius without her knowing, and so now she looks bad because Demetrius is gonna think that she was gonna keep this thing a secret from him. The whole time it was an agreement between Donovan and Sabrina that it would be kept a secret. But in a moment of pettiness, Donovan goes and tells Demetrius. And I don't care what anybody said, he did it with malicious intent. Okay, so it's now Laverne's segment. Laverne to me he does give me very narcissistic tendencies, or I should say that he has a very high sense of self. And I think that's gonna rub people the wrong way. It's just naturally what's gonna happen. People like humble people. When you make yourself out to be kind of better than other people, they're not gonna receive that very well, and that is understandable. In regards to him and Precious, not Precious, him and Miss Ace not working out, I'm not surprised because they didn't ever seem like a good match. He's overly pompous, arrogant, loud. She seems quite the opposite. And I know people say opposites attract, but I just didn't see where it would connect, And so they did connect offline off the show when she decided to exit. However, it didn't last because I feel like essentially what she's saying is he didn't want a long-term kind of connection. I think what he wanted was something casual and something short term, and that's not what Ace wanted, so she severed the ties, and I agree with her for that. That's the thing, a lot of these men, they come on this show talking about they're ready for love, and when you look at their actions, it's completely the opposite. It seems like they come there for the opposite reason. It seems like they come there just to fool around. It does not seem like they come there ready to love anything but themselves. So now we're getting closer to the end of the review, and they talk about the thing with Laverne and Laverne with Precious. Now Laverne told Sabrina that Precious told him that the women were plotting against him, and that's a lie. Because that's what we saw on the show that you said. But that's not true. Because even in interviews, Laverne has said that Ace is the one that told him what Precious said. It was not Precious that told him anything directly. And furthermore, Precious is saying even that's a lie. It has to do with Carmen and whoever. And so this is all a mess. I don't even care to get into it. We're gonna hear about it further next episode. Precious is just here and for the truth. She's just had it with everybody lying and everybody reading scripts and making it seem like it isn't what it is. So she's annoyed with that, and she wants everybody to just tell the truth. And so because of that, she kind of storms off next episode. But what do you guys think about this review, this part 1 so far? Is it giving the juice that you expected? Is it as lively as you expected? What do you think about how Joy has been responding thus far? The loud, forceful laughs and the weird hugs, and what do you think about that? Has your perception changed of Joy? Because I know a lot of people want to say, okay, she end up with the happy ending, so let's just ignore everything that she does. I know people want to do that, but at the end of the day, she is a bit problematic in some instances. What do you think about Sabrina? Because I know everybody was ready to hit Sabrina with everything in them, but do you still feel that energy after watching this first reunion part 1? Let me know in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and see you guys next time for another review. Bye bye.